Hey guys, now we're back onto the flight controller plate build. You notice that I have a blue, an AQ32, and the Arduino Mega with the 2.1 shield on it. And there's holes for both if you line them up correctly. So this flight controller board is like the Cyclone and like the Typhoon. You'll be able to mount multiple controllers to the board. I'm going to show you today how to connect the AirQuad 32-bit board onto the controller. You want to look through your bag and you want to find 8 screws. 4 of them are a little bit larger than the other 2, 4. And you want to find 4 of these nylon standoffs which have holes on both ends. And the way you mount these is, I'm going to use the little screws on top as they go through the flight controller board so they don't short out any metal around it. Make sure that it's not touching anything. So I'm going to use the larger headed screws coming through the bottom and the smaller headed screws coming through the top. So to start with, you take one of the larger screws and you find the hole that you need to mount your board. You push up the screw through the bottom of the plate and screw the plastic standoff onto the top of that screw. Sometimes it takes a little trial and error to find out which holes mount for your board. But if you take your board and you place it on top, sometimes you can take a Sharpie and make marks on the board to help you find those holes. Okay, now that you have the standoffs on the flight controller board, we're going to mount the CPU to the board. We want to pick, since the board is pretty universal for this size of a flight controller, pick which way you want it to go and say, okay, this is the front. Lay the flight controller on and put the screws in. There you go. You want to double check to make sure that the screw is not touching any traces on all 4 corners to make sure you're not going to short anything out. It's not connected to electricity, it's not connected to any ground planes, but you don't want to be touching 2 circuits or 2 traces with the head of the screw. And that's how you mount the flight controller on the flight control plate.